Welcome to Fantasy Sports Today here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish along with George Kurtz. Great to have Tommy filling in for our producer, Sam. That is the trio you got here on the show for the next hour as we got you covered for the upcoming week in fantasy football. Closing in on holiday time, fantasy football playoff time, George's favorite holiday, Thanksgiving time as well. So time to get some wins under your belt, especially with only a couple of teams off this week. George, great to be back with you for this week's edition of the show. Seems like kind of quieter weeks now here on the fantasy waiver wire. The teams that are in the playoffs are making a push, and the teams that are out of it are hoping their league is a keeper league at this point.
Yeah, right. You are in a keeper league. Maybe you're trading draft picks away for trying to accumulate draft picks for next season if you're out of it. The trade deadline in most leagues is about 2 weeks, right? Right before Thanksgiving is generally when the trade deadline is. So you're making those decisions. Am I a contender? Or am I a pretender, right? Those who I know I am in a couple of leagues here. What am I going to do? Who am I willing to give away? What price am I willing to pay for some of the high price talent here? This is the moves we have to make. If you're in a redraft league, well, now say you don't need depth as much now. I mean, you want star players here, so you acquire more stars. Right. And how I like to go about it into my fantasy playoffs, which is going to start in about 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, we're getting ready for the fantasy football playoffs. Again, extended schedule in the NFL. Most of you are playing 14-week regular season. Let's get to the latest this week in the NFL. The week started with Jameis Winston being the starter for the Giants this week. In fact, Jackson Dart on Friday officially listed out. So it'll be Winston as the starter, Russell Wilson as the backup. But guess who else is back and starting at quarterback? San Francisco 49ers Brock Purdy officially back this week. He's missed, George, it feels like the majority of the season, honestly. What would you say, 75% of the season thus far? Mac Jones has done a nice job filling in for him, but a nice matchup also for Purdy going into Arizona. That team in a little bit of disarray. You saw what happened last week. Purdy will be back. Joe Burrow, by the way, could potentially be back soon for the Cincinnati Bengals. He's saying all the right things, and he's back at practice 2 weeks away. Is that possible? Boy, seems like a long shot, but we'll see. Maybe Burrow should be picked up in some leagues. Those of you who are desperate in these super flex leagues, you need a starting quarterback this week. CJ Stroud out. Davis Mills will start again for the Houston Texans. That officially came down late on Thursday or Friday. And then also we got some news that A.J. Brown doesn't really feel like he's a good fantasy football wide receiver this week. He was playing Madden on a Twitch stream. Not that this really affects fantasy at all, maybe something for the future, but 3 quarterbacks, George, let's hit it. So Jameis Winston starts for the Giants. Brock Purdy starts for the 49ers. Davis Mills starts for the Houston Texans. I don't know if I ranked them in fantasy 1, 2, 3. Maybe I'd put Purdy first, Winston second, and then Mills third. I think so, but I would tell you this. No? I'll tell you this: if you lose points for picks in your fantasy league, you cannot put Winston above Purdy. I think you want to do it though.
I don't think about Winston anywhere near Purdy. All right, they're going to get wrecked by Green Bay. They're playing the Green Bay Packers, one of the best defenses in the league. We just saw what they did to the Philadelphia Eagles. They have lost the game. It wasn't the defense's fault there. No Darius Slayton, no Cam Scotterboot, no Malik Neighbors. No. Winston's going to be fun, right? He'll take his chances, right? He's not going to be afraid to take his shots there. Sort of like a younger Joe Flacco. I'm going to put the ball up, see what happens here. But no, this should not go well for Winston. I don't really want him. Purdy would definitely be the number one of those that 3 for me. You're playing once again an Arizona defense that's a so-so at most. Anyway, they're not going to have Marvin Harrison this week. He had appendicitis. He's out. Imagine through November. Before we're going to see him again here. A lot of Michael Wilson, by the way. So if you wanted to pick somebody up as far as a wide receiver, might want to grab Michael Wilson. No Zay Jones either. He tore his Achilles. He's done for the season there. So Arizona, another banged-up squad here. I would have Purdy 1. I'll put Mills 2, but I don't feel great about it. I mean, I don't think he's all that good. This all comes down to the matchup here. I just don't like the matchup, Craig, for Winston against the Packers. I don't have much faith in Davis Mills. I don't here, but I'll put Mills 2 here. And it is against Tennessee, too. He should have more shots to put up some points there. Mills 2 and Winston a far 3.
Yeah, I want Winston to do well. I think we all want him to do well, but this has happened many times before where we want that, and then it's 3 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, and then we realize that it is Jameis Winston. But definitely, as George said, a lot of fun to see him playing. Toughest matchup you could get, by the way, against Green Bay. All right, let's go to Thursday Night Football. George, a close game for about 20 minutes, right? You kind of felt for like 20 minutes this was going to be, somewhat interesting because Justin Fields just drove his team right down the field in the first half, and the Jets took a 7-0 lead. It was like, wow, maybe we're in for a game, but then no. New England took over. got the best record in the NFL. Right now, they got the favorite to win the NFL's MVP, Drake May, and Matthew Stafford neck and neck. May with a little bit of a bump because of the win yesterday. Patriots win. They cover the spread. Travion Henderson is what they call in fantasy a league winner. But I would ask George, does anybody with a winning record have Travion Henderson? Because he did nothing for 2.5 months. Now, all of a sudden, you could start him. You can't start celebrating this unless you have a good record. But he looks like an absolute monster down the stretch. So all things pointing up for New England, and for the Jets, not a huge surprise to see the second half.
No, I guess we'll start with the negative with the Jets here. The game was 14-7 at the half, and we all knew that was going to go the other way, and it did here. I mean, if Adonai Mitchell catches a couple of balls, he dropped 3 passes. I mean, maybe it's a better game. We get close here, but that didn't happen there for the Jets. Jets are the Jets. Listen, they're better off losing out anyway. Get the top draft picks here. Although the Jets, they play a lot. Not last night, but their schedule says they're going to play some winnable games. They don't play the toughest of schedules here. There are going to be some teams they can beat. They might get the 4 wins, 5 wins, something like that. As for the Patriots, it wasn't a great game. All right, they did what needed to be done to get the W in a division Thursday night game, right? Henderson, I've got him in 2 leagues, and as you were insinuating, I'm not doing all that great in either league.
Right,
league,
of
I'm
course.
3-6, so I am first in points, so I might make the playoffs anyway. And the other league, I'm middle of the pack, although his big game actually brought me to 5th place, where I have to think about trading in now. My question is going to be this. Greg, would you be surprised if Henderson's not getting 24 touches next week? He's not. Stevens is going to come back. I mean, I think he's going to get back to 12, 15 touches here. He just doesn't, for whatever reason, he doesn't trust Henderson, or he does trust Stevenson. I think it's the pass blocking more than anything else, because Stevenson fumbles the ball all the time here. So I just think as fantasy players, we're going to be very frustrated next week with his usage, and he's not going to get 20-plus touches.
I mean, I'll tell you what, if that is the case, and you may be right, George, and they lose and that happens, he's going to face a lot of questions, because Henderson looks like one of the best running backs in the NFL. At the moment, Henderson had 3 touchdowns and 5 receptions in this game. I mean, just an incredible way to start off your week on Thursday night. You don't usually get a 30 or a 40 from your running back on a Thursday night, but you ended up getting it there. Also, let's talk about real quick Stephon Diggs here, George. This is one of his best games of the season. Really was a target monster in this one and made the most of it. Over 105 yards receiving, 9 catches, 20 fantasy points. Maybe this is something we'll see in the future, because Diggs has been kind of quiet most of the year.
Yeah, sorry, but I had a little error message there on my thing, so I fixed it up there. Diggs, he came into the season off the injury, right? So we had to be careful coming into him. He should be rounding into form now. All right, so I'm not going to put him as my wide receiver 1. All right, if you're going to look at me and say he's a wide receiver 1, I'm not going to do that. That being said, I think he's going to have more good games than bad. I think that's fair. If you look at the Patriots' schedule here, who are they losing to?
I know.
They do play the Bills again, but the Bills don't have a great defense. They play the Ravens. They don't have a great defense. I mean, the bottom line is this. Unless you're stacked at wide receiver, you're starting Diggs week in and week out here. Yep. I said the Patriots are very likely to beat the number 1 seed in the AFC. Who saw that coming?
No one did. And I would still tell you this. It's sort of fascinating when you think about it, that the Patriots could be underdogs as the number 1 seed in both rounds that they play in the AFC, and maybe even in the Super Bowl. That's just how their season has gone. Real quick, let's hit on some other performances. Real quick, let's throw up, Tommy, let's throw up Breece Hall. He had 58 yards rushing, 2 receptions, 6 yards. Not a great game for Hall, so you're regretting starting him, but there was really no choice. Most people had to do it. Okay, we'll take a quick time out on Fantasy Sports Today. Talking trades in fantasy football. The deadline is almost here. Who's been traded the most? You may be surprised to know. We'll be right back.
Where are the wins coming from? And yes, I agree. Are they good enough to win those games? Yeah, of course they are, right? But the reality of this team is not very good this year in 1-score games. They're not. That was their bread and butter a year ago. Like every win last year, 1-score game, the Chiefs found a way to win it.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The 35 cents, though, for yes on Ohio State.
Yeah.
I like that, Donnie. I think there's value in that right now because we only got, 3 weeks left to go. Then we'll have conference championships. Yeah, the more they keep winning, and they will win, the more that will increase, and that's a pretty good return on an investment there with Calci.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
A little bit of a brand crisis when it comes to the league going from 54 to 72. Although I think it can help some players, I think it kind of hurts the brand of the league and what it kind of stood for, the innovation, the loudness, the different aspects of the game, the whole shotgun aspect, which makes it different. But is it better for these guys when they show up in majors?
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
And taking a look at some of the most traded players in fantasy after 3 months has got to be a little surprising, I think, George, for most people to think that you took a first-round pick on a receiver, second-round pick on a receiver, and things didn't work out. Maybe you sold low on a couple of guys. I think that's probably a good place to start with a guy that did make some headlines this week, A.J. Brown, on a stream saying that to get rid of him in fantasy football for good reason. He's been one of the most traded wide receivers in fantasy this year, George. He has 54 targets, 31 receptions, 408 yards, 3 touchdowns. Now, I will say this. There's like a half a season of fantasy to go, okay? If not 50%, 40%. And we have short memories, and this could be a creation of a final run here, which makes him great. It's just there's really no indication of that. And for him to be saying these sort of things, by the way, I don't care. It doesn't affect me whatsoever. But, for a player that's on a team that's so good to talk like this, you don't see it that often.
It's weird, right? All right, he's not putting up any kind of numbers, which is what's upsetting him. All right, but they're winning games. And he said it in his, the podcast the other day that he did there, I'm not apologizing for this. I'm just talking with my friends here that he not only wants to win, but he wants to help the team win. He doesn't feel like he's doing that. All right, whatever. My problem is this. You probably spent, second or third round pick on him. You try and trade him right now, you're not getting anywhere near that value.
No.
Right? He's not doing anything. But Craig, look at his schedule coming up. Detroit may be a great team. The secondary is not good. Then they play the Cowboys, who don't have a secondary. Then the Bears, not good. Chargers, secondary is not great either. Raiders, Commanders, Bills. All right. If you play Week 18, it's the Commanders again. All right. Even though he may not play that game. But, that is a schedule that says we're putting up points at will. What I'm trying to say is even as frustrating as A.J. Brown is, and maybe I don't start him this week. I guess I can sort of see him that I'm not giving him away for 60 cents on the dollar for someone I'm not going to use. I'm just not going to do that. I got to hope he snaps out of it. All right. Although I'm also the first person to tell you this. The last time he mouthed off like this and we're like, oh, squeaky wheel will get the grease this Sunday. Let's go Brown. Right. It didn't happen. No. Right, he still had a bad game. So still, I think unless I get a player that's useful that I can need on my fantasy team, I'm not trading him away for any, like I said, 60 cents on the dollar. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, it seems like we could be headed down a similar road with Justin Jefferson, who certainly signed that long-term extension, but did not sign up for this. 686 yards, 2 touchdowns. Again, there's a lot of season to play. Jefferson could end up, George, with 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns, and it'd be a down year, but it wouldn't be a disaster. The numbers right now are him averaging between 10 and 12 fantasy points over the course of the season. I'm a little bullish still. I still feel like the offense kind of runs through him. Why he's not catching the ball on the targets that he's throwing, I'm not sure. Definitely does not have that combo at all, at all with J.J. McCarthy. Had a better one, I think, with Carson Wentz. It seems like Wentz, George, knew, hey, I got to get this guy the ball. He's the best playmaker on the field. So I don't think we're quite at a breaking point, George, with him. But, I was looking at maybe in a keeper league trading for him. I don't know if that is the right move, but I still feel like there could be more coming here.
Oh, once again, he's not bitching. All right, he's actually taking the correct approach here, or at least the team-friendly approach here. He's not complaining. And you mentioned his numbers actually at the end of the year may look pretty solid. Maybe not JJ numbers, but still good numbers here. Don't we have the greatness on the curve? McCarthy's made 4 starts, for crying out loud. All right, he should get better. He should. It might take a little bit, and I'm the first person to tell you that he's very good on the first 15 plays where they're scripted, where he's practicing them all week. Very good. And after that, he tails off. Right, he's got a gun for an arm. He can make all the throws here. He just doesn't always know where they're going, that sort of thing. Once again, the schedule here, especially during the fantasy playoffs. So if you're going to acquire Jefferson, you get another month to really get in tune with McCarthy. And then during the fantasy playoffs, Dallas, Giants, Detroit. Now, Detroit's secondary could be fixed by then, but, man, Dallas and Giants probably not. I mean, that's a nice little go there to get you to the championship game, assuming they can fix things that really aren't totally broken right now. They're not working perfectly, but they're not totally broken. I'd want to buy JJ.
Yeah, well, some of the most complaining would be about the most traded running back in fantasy this year. That's Kenneth Walker, because I guess the issue is when you drafted Kenneth Walker, if you drafted him in a PPR league, you had to know that he was not going to be as good as you thought. Like he just does not catch passes, George. He has 11. That's 1-1 on the season. This is what McCaffrey does in a game. Kenneth Walker in a non-PPR format, he's fine. But in the PPR format, he's getting traded all over the place because it's like somebody always looks at him and says, grass is always greener. He's sharing time with Zach Charbonnet. Don't get me wrong. He's still an RB2, but he's not going to get you 30 fantasy points in a week. He doesn't catch enough passes. Not going to happen.
It's not even that. I can live with not catching passes. It's annoying, but I can live with it. Seattle does everything in their power to make sure Charbonnet gets the touchdowns. It's ridiculous. Kevin Walker does all the work that gets inside the 10, and then it's Charbonnet until he gets in. And we've seen this over and over again, especially the past couple of weeks here. Once again, they don't want Walker to get beat up here with the goal line carries, or they just think Charbonnet's a better goal line back, or whatever it might be. But it's all Charbonnet at the goal line, and it's frustrating to no end here. That being said, we sort of knew this coming into the season here, so it was buyer beware. You should have figured this out that Zach was going to play. I didn't know he'd be the goal line back like he is now, when he was going to play somewhat. There's going to be like a 60-40 split here. Now it may be even a little better than that. So it is what it is, but you're right. He's a borderline running back 2, running back 3 there. So he's I don't want to say he's killing you, but he's not doing what you all expected him to do here. If I had a choice between the two, even though Walker touches the ball more, I'd rather have Zach.
Travis Etienne has been one of those guys that it's like the bye week comes and you're playing him, and then you have to decide if you want to play him over your starting running back. But overall on the season, George, this is not going to be bad. He's going to end up with 1,100, 1,200 yards, maybe just 1,000, 8-9 touchdowns. He catches a few balls. It feels like he's always part of a package trade for me with somebody else, but it's surprising for me to see that he's one of the more traded running backs this year.
Yeah, he's had a good, solid year. He sort of reminds me of what we had the MVP in MLB yesterday, right? He's that guy who gets 1 10th place vote, something like that, because he came out, we didn't expect anything from him, yet he's added to your fantasy team. So someone will throw in Jacksonville, right? I'll throw him a 10th place vote here for fantasy MVP because he's done that kind of damage for you. So I like what Etienne's done here, but you're right, he's a package guy.
All right, let's take a quick time out. We got more fantasy sports today coming up in just a few minutes with George and I. Don't go away.
Where are the wins coming from? And yes, I agree. Are they good enough to win those games? Yeah, of course they are, right? But the reality of this team is not very good this year in one-score games. They're not. That was their bread and butter a year ago. like every win last year, one-score game, the Chiefs found a way to win it.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The 35 cents, though, for yes on Ohio State.
Yeah.
I like that, Donnie. I think there's value in that right now because we only got, 3 weeks left to go. Then we'll have conference championships. Yeah, the more they keep winning, and they will win, the more that will increase, and that's a pretty good return on an investment there with Kalshi.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
A little bit of a brand crisis when it comes to the league going from 54 to 72. Although I think it can help some players, I think it kind of hurts the brand of the league and what it kind of stood for, the innovation, the loudness, the different aspects of the game, the whole shotgun aspect, which makes it different. But is it better for these guys when they show up in majors?
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Quiet week for most on the waiver wire. You probably have a lot of your team set. We're seeing a lot of positioning, people picking up kickers and defenses and sort of positioning for the cold weather and for later in the season, especially for playoff teams. We're almost at that point. Not a bad time to start taking a look at what your matchups are. I know, some people can't carry 2 of defense or kicker, but could be worth it depending on the matchup later in the year. Also would be worth it, George, just to make sure you have some handcuffs. There's no question that the handcuff for Bijan Robinson is Tyler Algier. I don't think, George, he's the kind of guy, 36% owned, that you can play. I even in a desperation spot, you're really praying for a touchdown here because I don't think anything else happens. But every Bijan Robinson owner headed toward the playoffs needs to have this guy just in case.
I doubt very much he's on your waiver wire. You talk about a 10-team league, 8-team league. He's gone. But he's out there. Absolutely, you go out and grab this guy. All right, he's been. It's frustrating. If you're a Bijan guy, and I am, and he's taking the touchdowns again. He's got more rushing touchdowns than Bijan does. It's frustrating out there. But if he's out there, you're grabbing him. You're absolutely right. You're probably not starting him. And listen, you could have Jonathan Taylor this week, right? And hey, you're throwing him in there, so maybe
right.
You are. But Lord knows we're desperate at running back throughout the league. But probably this week with only 2 buys, you're probably not starting him. But yeah, I'd want him on my squad, absolutely.
The Arizona Cardinals running back situation is just a mess right now. Trey Benson, who was supposed to be back, is not. Bam Knight got banged up. He didn't even. I don't even know what his status is, honestly, going into the game. So DeMercado is getting at it again, George, in fantasy leagues, and I just don't feel comfortable starting any of these guys. I would say Arizona, George. I mean, when you look at the landscape of fantasy, they may have a bottom 2 or bottom 3 running back situation in fantasy going right now. There's just really no good answer.
You're correct on all points there. Bam and Knight, by the way, is a questionable limited practice yesterday. We haven't heard about the practice report today, so we'll see what that is. But as we're sort of insinuating here, if I had to start one of these guys, it would be DeMercado this week. He'd be my. I'm not expecting double-digit points unless he falls into the end zone here. I said this offense does have issues here. You're going up against a banged-up San Fran defense, so there will be opportunities here. But as we said earlier, there's no Marvin Harrison. I wonder if Kyler Murray's played his last snap for Arizona. So it sort of is what it is there. But if I had a choice between all these guys, it would be DeMercado. Bam might play, but I think he'll still start over him. Benson still, they said he's not even ready to practice yet, so he's at least 2 weeks away.
Chicago Bears seemingly using a lot of different receivers. Feels like a Packers situation almost, but Luther Burden, very big boomer bust guy. Hasn't had a lot of booms, but 10% owned in fantasy, George. I feel like he's probably an added and dropped guy most of the season. 16 receptions on the year, 222 yards.
Yeah, you said it there, right? It is sort of like a Packer situation. A lot of cooks in the kitchen there. Who's going to get fed and who's not? Dunze, DJ Moore. You got the two tight ends, and you got the running backs who are doing so well. So it's going to be a running game anyway. All right, with Swift and Mananjai. Minnesota Vikings are a very good defense. I don't know if I want to start any of these guys this week. Maybe DJ Moore, but that's about it here. I'm not seeing a lot of points coming here. I think that's going to be a game where Chicago is going to rely on the running games. All right, with Swift and Mananjai. Keep the Vikings off the field somewhat here. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game.
Houston has Jaden Higgins coming on strong. He has 3 touchdowns now, 29 targets, 19 receptions. Seemingly, George, I think someone we're going to have to pay a close eye on next season. I know Nico Collins is certainly their wide receiver 1. Higgins, I think, more of a keeper league stash at this point. Really hard to start him, especially with Davis Mills going this week.
I mean, I agree. Listen, I agree. But once again, they're playing Tennessee. So I could see you maybe if you're a Pittman guy, you're an Olave guy, and you lost some guys, Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, who are doing some damage as well. Maybe. But as I said, Collins is there, Kirk is there. Schultz has been big the last couple of weeks. I'd rather have him over probably Burden this week if you had a choice between the two for some reason.
That's good, yeah.
On your team. I'd probably go that direction. But I'm just saying, we're talking about a flex. All right, and I would think, let's put it this way: maybe you're desperate. You're playing against Henderson yesterday, right? He had 32 points. You need a home run guy. Fine. Maybe you give it a shot here, but I would assume you have somebody else on your roster who's more trustworthy.
Quick updates from Friday, George. Let's get to the latest injuries in the NFL. Bucky Irving out again this week. Chris Godwin out again this week. Dalton Kincaid will not play. Devontae Adams is questionable going into the weekend. Other players in and out, George, I don't know. Certainly to me, those are the main ones to keep an eye. Oh, Ladd McConkey did practice on Friday. Looks like he is good to go too. But we'll get to more of that when we come back next. You're watching Fantasy Sports Today here on SportsGrid. Craig and George back with the games of the week right after this.
Where are the wins coming from? And yes, I agree. Are they good enough to win those games? Yeah, of course they are, right? But the reality of this team is not very good this year in one-score games. They're not. That was their bread and butter a year ago. Like every win last year, one-score game, the Chiefs found a way to win it.
The Craig Carden Show, only on SportsGrid.
The 35 cents, though, for yes on Ohio State.
Yeah.
I like that, Donnie. I think there's value in that right now because we only got, 3 weeks left to go. Then we'll have conference championships. Yeah, the more they keep winning, and they will win, the more that will increase, and that's a pretty good return on an investment there with Kalshi.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
A little bit of a brand crisis when it comes to the league going from 54 to 72. Although I think it can help some players, I think it kind of hurts the brand of the league and what it kind of stood for, the innovation, the loudness, the different aspects of the game, the whole shotgun aspect, which makes it different. But is it better for these guys when they show up in majors?
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Fantasy games of the week and fantasy football. Let's dive right into it. We'll wake up early Sunday morning to watch the game in Madrid, George. The Washington Commanders and Miami Dolphins. Boy, the Dolphins certainly woke up. Speaking of an early wake up this past week. Welcome back, Tua. Welcome back, Jalen Waddle. Devon A-Chain was great. We talked about Waddle last week. I think he's going to have a big impact the rest of the season. But my gosh, on the side of the Commanders, all of those people in fantasy football, the smart guys, the dumb guys, everybody jumping up and down. I got Ja'Cory Crosby-Barrett. He's going to win me my league. I was the smartest in my whole league. Can't even play this guy right. Who can you play on Washington right now?
Zach Ertz. We can play Zach Ertz. All right. I'm not kidding. I think he's a tight end one this week, especially Dalton Kincaid. You mentioned is out. And by the way, Cade Otton, who a lot of people like this week, Buffalo, very good against tight ends, number one in the NFL. So Cade Otton may not be a great play either. So you can play Zach Ertz. A super flex, you can play Marcus Mariota. Okay. I mean, maybe. That's all I got for you. Debo, I guess you could go with as well here as a wide receiver too. I think he's top 40. You know, which puts you in at least flex range.
Yeah,
right?
flex. Okay.
I'll give Debo the love. I'll give Debo the love.
Ja'Cory Crosby-Barrett, right, George? That was like, if you didn't, everyone jumping up and down on social media. I'm so smart. I took him early, and I'm going to win my league. But those people don't say anything right now. They're very quiet. They're very quiet. It's like the sports bettors. They never lose. No one ever loses. No one ever loses. All right, Bucks and Bills. I would expect the Bills, George. I don't know if they're going to win. I would expect them to have a much better offensive performance this week. Look, Josh Allen, James Cook, there's nothing to discuss. It's just who you want to play from there. Buffalo, really needs to attack wide receiver at some point in the offseason. For Tampa Bay, Rachaad White, yes. I mean, even though he hasn't been great, you got to do it again, George. I think he's an RB2. Even though, Tucker's stealing some carries from him, there is no starting running back there. And I just think at this point, as long as Bucky Irving is out, White is a starter. So is Egbuka. You mentioned Otton and Baker Mayfield, and I think I've covered everyone here. You tell me, what did I miss?
Yeah, you did cover everybody. I kind of like Dawson Knox this week, at least get in the end zone. I think he catches a touchdown this week. Maybe that's more of a betting prop thing for an anytime touchdown, but I think Knox does get in the end zone. Other than that, I mean, you want to go Tez Johnson? All right, he had the big week. Buffalo has problems in their secondary. He had the big week last week, so maybe he's a player as well. Sean Tucker, you said here, he's a nice little sneaky pickup flex play this week.
Bears and Vikings. Vikings defense has been really good, but the Bears seemingly are, really surging on offense here a little bit. And, look, we've definitely seen a couple of different running backs succeed there. The Vikings running backs have gone the other way. With Aaron Jones back, it just doesn't seem like Jordan Mason is the same. Of course, you're playing Jefferson. I'm guessing you're playing Addison here. And for the quarterbacks, only super flex, I would think. Caleb Williams is like this borderline QB1 in a 12-team league. But beyond that, that's it.
Yeah, I think that's fair about Caleb. He's probably borderline QB1 here. If he wasn't playing Minnesota, he'd be definitely a quarterback one because he is playing better. All right. So it sort of is what it is there. I said it earlier. I think it's going to be a heavy running game for the Chicago Bears. It's going to be a lot of Swift, a lot of Mananjai in this game because of how good that Minnesota defense is. And I just think they don't believe that McCarthy and company's going to put up a lot of points, which is probably true because Lord knows they're having their issues here. You said you're starting McCarthy. You probably can't start Hawkinson. All right. I mean, he may be one of the better tight ends, but McCarthy does not use him. If he doesn't get touchdown deodorant, he smells. All right. So I would want to go away from Hawk there. You said about Addison, you're probably starting him. I don't know if you can do better than that, but you got to keep your expectations in check. I don't think they're going to have a big game here either here. And as you said, Aaron Jones is your start for the Minnesota Vikings running back.
All right, we have the Bengals taking on the Steelers. Joe Flacco has not only been startable, but he's done a really good job filling in for Joe Burrow, who could be back soon. The Steelers, meanwhile, George, really hard to trust anybody on offense. They can't really run the ball, and their receivers haven't done much.
All right. Last time these two teams played, was at that Thursday night game, with 900 points scored. So everything is going to be run back, and we're going to have it again. Rodgers looked terrible last week. All right, he looked bad. He was seeing the rush. He didn't want to get hit and all that, and he was just awful there. Of course, he rebounds in this game, right? I mean, you are playing the Bengals. They don't have a defense. No Hendrickson, by the way. He's already been ruled out. So is Joe Burrow, by the way, for those who are wondering. He's out too. I want to start Rodgers if you have him, right? He should be a top 10 quarterback. He just should. It's the Bengals defense. They should put up points here. But I'd be lying to you if I tell you I trust it. I don't. But anyway, I'm starting Rodgers. DK Metcalf should rebound. If you're guessing on which tight end, I'd probably go Freiermuth first, but that's a guess there. But Rodgers does like throwing to those guys. Flacco, once again, I think he's going to throw the ball a bunch, so points should be coming. You're starting T. Higgins, you're starting Jamar Chase here, and you're probably starting Chase Brown as well.
Seahawks and Rams, one of the marquee matchups of the late games on Sunday, or later games, I should say, on Sunday, depending on where you live. Look, Rams have been all systems go. Speaking of them, I mean, on offense, Stafford, Nakua, Devontae Adams, if he plays, and then naturally Kyron Williams. On the side of Seattle, George, we sort of illustrated it. They have the very best player, maybe, at wide receiver in fantasy, in Jackson Smith and Jigba. But then you're taking some chances otherwise, but I'm guessing the options aren't much better if you don't play your Seattle guys.
Stafford may win MVP. He's playing that well. He's got 20 touchdown passes the last 4 weeks and 0 interceptions. He's playing that well. You already said it, Nakua. You and I were talking during the break about Adams. We have our doubts with McVay and telling the truth here. But all reports are that Adams, he's less questionable, is going to play. But I would want to make sure that I have somebody that I can put in for Adams in case they're lying, in case they're playing with us, which you've seen McVay do before. So keep that in mind there. But we do expect him to play. I think Higbee could be a sneaky tight end play as well, but I don't have him as a tight end one this week. Kyron Williams certainly goes for you here. Seattle, yeah, Donald's been great. JSN is fantasy gold right now. No one can stop this guy. He's been fantastic. We already discussed Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet earlier in the show. Shaheed, Kupp, and Horton. They're all going to eat up each other, all right? That's going to be very frustrating to find the wide receiver two there outside of JSN. We all want JSN. Craig, I know you and I have our doubts about Cooper Kupp. It is a revenge game. Going back to LA, it's a revenge game. So keep that in mind. Maybe you go for that. Maybe that's more once again a betting prop that you put a bet for an anytime touchdown and then starting him in fantasy. But I kind of think Kupp gets in the end zone in this game. Seattle's been great. They might be the sneaky best team in the NFC.
Yeah, and by the way, the reason why George and I both cynical of Sean McVay, people may be watching going, well, where is this coming from? Like what? Like, well, why would McVay is a truth teller? I mean, you go back to the Super Bowl, which we will never forget, and Todd Gurley is totally fine going into that Super Bowl. He spent the entire Super Bowl on a bike, riding a bike. The following year, 2 years later, they got a guy named Cam Akers. He told us every week Akers is going to get the ball more. He's going to be our starter. The guy didn't play. He doesn't tell us what's going on with Stafford. You just have to be really careful with this guy. No, and that doesn't make him a bad coach. He's not really forthcoming on the injury stuff. Just our opinion here. 49ers and Cardinals. 49ers really easy with Christian McCaffrey. And I think Brock Purdy's back and playable again. So is George Kittle, by the way. Kittle looks great. As far as the Cardinals go, I think this is just going to be a really tough matchup, I think, George. Why all this big thing? Oh, Jacoby Brissett, he's better for the team. You haven't watched football the last 15, 20 years? I mean, he's okay. He's not better than Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's not better than him. It just doesn't make any difference. I think 49ers is rolling this game.
Brissett's better for fantasy. How about that? Or at least he was.
I don't even know that. Anymore? I'm not even sure about that.
Oh, he's better. I mean, McBride all of a sudden catches touchdowns. You got McBride. You are.
He's better for McBride and for the receiver who's out.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, NFL-wise, you're right. It doesn't make a difference. I mean, he's not the quarterback of the future. So. The Arizona Cardinals don't have one. All right, they're going to have to go find one with draft or sign him on free agency, whatever it might be. I don't think Kyler Murray's there next year. I just don't. San Fran should win the game. All right, they're pretty much healthy. With Jennings, McCaffrey, Purdy. I said he's his quarterback one this week. You said about Kittle. So I think the Niners win as well here.
Yeah, we got buy or sell coming up next here, so make sure you stick around on Fantasy Sports today. We'll also dive into Lions-Eagles next, so we'll be right back. Don't go away.
Where are the wins coming from? And yes, I agree. Are they good enough to win those games? Yeah, of course they are, right? But the reality of this team is not very good this year in one-score games. They're not. That was their bread and butter a year ago. Like every win last year, one-score game, the Chiefs found a way to win it.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The 35 cents, though, for yes on Ohio State.
Yeah.
I like that, Donnie. I think there's value in that right now because we only got, 3 weeks left to go. Then we'll have conference championships. Yeah, the more they keep winning, and they will win, the more that will increase, and that's a pretty good return on an investment there with Kalshi.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
A little bit of a brand crisis when it comes to the league going from 54 to 72. Although I think it can help some players, I think it kind of hurts the brand of the league and what it kind of stood for, the innovation, the loudness, the different aspects of the game, the whole shotgun aspect, which makes it different. But is it better for these guys when they show up in majors?
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to Fantasy Sports today. Let's do one more quick game before we hit buy or sell. Boy, I was so wrong about last week's Eagles-Packers game. I thought that was going to be a decently scored game, and it was nothing at the half. Oh my gosh, it was like the worst first half of any game this. Oh, if you like defense, who the heck wants to watch that? So, look, the Lions, they got to put on a show, I would think, against Philadelphia, and I think that Philadelphia will bounce back a little bit. I don't want to be wrong 2 weeks in a row and just assume that Philly's not going to get things going this week. But are you kidding me? I'm playing both running backs on Detroit again. I'm playing Goff. I'm playing Amon-Ra St. Brown. Laporta is an interesting one, though. Got to keep an eye on him. He's missed practice all week. And for Philly, they wear green. They're very popular. They won the Super Bowl. None of them are good for fantasy. None of them. But we just keep playing them every week because that's what we do. Because you have to. But George, they never have a good week. But you have to keep playing Barkley, and you have to keep playing Hurts, and you have to keep playing A.J. Brown.
All right, I guess we'll start with the bad news first. Laporta didn't practice today either. All right, they asked Campbell about it. Campbell said, "Well, my confidence is sky high." And who is it? Brock Wright. All right, so I don't think Laporta. Okay. Brock Wright. So I don't know if Laporta's playing Sunday night. Once again, please have a backup in case if you're going to wait that long. And maybe you can have Goddard, Ferguson should be gone. Bowers is gone. There's not a lot of options for you. So you're probably going to have to make a decision. Do you want to risk the 0 or maybe a Brock Wright? Pick up Brock Wright, see what happens here. You could go that direction. But just make sure you have a contingency plan there. I think it's going to be a good game. Listen, everybody you mentioned, Craig, we're starting. Right, you're not going to sit any of those guys, but yeah, they've been disappointing. I mean, Barkley's been disappointing, not doing what he did. Brown's been an extreme disappointment. Devonta Smith's been good, right? So I guess we can trust him. Hurts is going to get. We lost at any time touchdown bet with him getting the tush push against Green Bay. That didn't happen there, but he's for the most part been good because of that play. Goff, not the same outdoors as he is indoors. Keep that in mind. Philadelphia Sunday night, mid-November, probably not going to be a nice night here. All right, so keep that in mind there. But you're starting all your normal players here. So I don't think we're going to get a shootout, but it's not going to be 10-7 again. It can't be, right? It can't. No.
I hope not. I mean, give me like 30 points or something between these two teams. All right, now as we get ready to send it off for the day, let's play our game of buy or sell. All right, so we saw Justin Fields open up the game and look good, and then nothing after that. It has been one of the most dismal quarterback seasons that you can recall in a long time. Average yards per game near the bottom in years. I mean, it seems like Justin Fields has lost a lot of confidence. I guess that's the easiest thing to say. Everybody knows that. What do the Jets do? Next year, we know what they do and move on. What do they do this year? Buy or sell? Justin Fields will be benched before this season ends. I believe Tyrod Taylor is the backup. I'd have to check who their third string is. I don't know.
Well, the smart aleck in me wants to tell you it just doesn't matter. All right, this is not a good team. They're not going to get any better. And listen, let's be honest here. They probably want to lose. All right, they don't have a third string on the roster, by the way. They really want to lose here because you want to get those top draft picks. You got all the picks you got from the Cowboys, from the Indianapolis Colts there. So you want to get as many picks as possible. They're playing Baltimore, Atlanta, Miami, Jacksonville, New Orleans, New England, Buffalo. Maybe there's another win or two in there at most. So they're going to be a top 5 pick. All right. So, yeah, bad team. As for the question here, Justin Fields, Craig, I was one who thought he just needed to go to a team that was going to develop the offense around him. We still really haven't seen that. It doesn't think anybody knows how to use him correctly. Justin Fields will be benched before the season ends. Yeah, he was bad last night again. I understand that Donnie Mitchell dropped everything that came to him, right? Dropped the bomb, dropped the third down pass, dropped another pass as well. He was terrible. Good thing the Jets got him in that trade with Indianapolis. But he's just not the guy. The problem is neither is Tyrod Taylor. They don't have the guy. So this just doesn't matter one way or the other. But I'll buy this. He will be benched before the season ends.
Yeah, I'm going to buy this as well. I wish we did a Tyrod Taylor starting. I think this is similar to the Giants. I think that we don't know who their guy is going to be, the third guy. Remember when the Jets were going through like a number of, what'd you say there, Tommy? Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay. Sam Laporta ruled out, our producer says, just so you know, it's with that foregone conclusion. Yeah. You know how the Jets went with Mike White one year and the Giants went with Tommy DeVito another year. Like maybe Russell Wilson gets cut, shows up, just goes across the street and plays for them. I agree. I'm going to buy this, but I don't think it's going to be Tyrod Taylor. I think it's going to be some other experiment with them at the end of the season. So I'll buy as well. Hit that green button. Okay, it has been a season to remember for Drake May. As of right now, May and Matthew Stafford are the favorites to win the NFL's MVP. Who had that at the beginning of the year? You probably could go through 20 quarterbacks before you got to Drake May as predicting winning the MVP. After this season, buy or sell, we will think of Drake May as the best quarterback in the 2024 draft class. Is this buy or sell? He certainly wasn't going in.
All right, for those who don't know, we're talking May, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix. A lot of interest there, right? A lot of interest there as far as those QBs. He's going to be the best. I mean, this is a question I would normally just take the field, right? Because I'll assume that Jaden Daniels has been really good. While he's hurt now. Caleb Williams, he's getting better and better. I'm still not giving up hope on the other three here as far as Penix, McCarthy, and Nix, although I would certainly have May well above them. So I think for me, it's either Daniels, it's either Williams, it's either May. Isn't this recency bias? Last year we went in, it's Daniels. By far, it's Daniels. Now because he's hurt, hasn't had a good year, it's Drake May. I'll sell this just for the sake of it, Craig, here, but I don't necessarily disagree.
Yeah, I'm going to sell. I got Jaden Daniels still. I can't go this far with Drake May. Maybe second best, but it's not even about taking the field. We're having recency bias here. Jaden Daniels to me will still be awesome. So next year for Daniels goes back ahead of Drake May. All right, running backs, got to make a choice this season. You would this week. You would start Rashad White over R.J. Harvey this week. Pick one.
White. Right, Buffalo's not the greatest defense here, but I don't feel great about it here. All right,
I would start Harvey. I would start Harvey. Only guy there. J.K. Dobbins not playing. You kidding me? Definitely got to start him there. They love running the ball there.
Fair enough.
All right, we'll be back to wrap it up next. Don't go away.
Where are the wins coming from? And yes, I agree. Are they good enough to win those games? Yeah, of course they are, right? But the reality of this team is not very good this year in one-score games. They're not. That was their bread and butter a year ago. Like every win last year, one-score game, the Chiefs found a way to win it.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The 35 cents, though, for yes on Ohio State.
Yeah.
I like that, Donnie. I think there's value in that right now because we only got, 3 weeks left to go. Then we'll have conference championships. Yeah, the more they keep winning, and they will win, the more that will increase, and that's a pretty good return on an investment there with Kalshi.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
A little bit of a brand crisis when it comes to the league going from 54 to 72. Although I think it can help some players, I think it kind of hurts the brand of the league and what it kind of stood for, the innovation, the loudness, the different aspects of the game, the whole shotgun aspect, which makes it different. But is it better for these guys when they show up in majors?
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
Before we get to the SportsGrid 60, George, award week has come and gone in Major League Baseball, and maybe the biggest surprise of all, or at least for some, was the fact that Aaron Judge won back-to-back MVPs. He ended up beating out Cal Raleigh, who had one of the most historic seasons you'll ever see, and a historic season for a catcher. Now, the narrative that's sort of being pushed is that nobody should be upset. It's just that both of these guys had historical seasons, and somebody has to win the MVP. But George, I thought Cal Raleigh was going to win that award, man. Like I would have been wrong. I would have bet Cal Raleigh would have won. Why do you think that Judge did?
I'm not someone who gets well bent out of shape about these awards, all right, or the Hall of Fame, for that matter. And a lot of ways I don't care. I'll talk about it, love debating about it, but it doesn't really bother me one way or the other. I think what it came down to is this. Once again, I think it's the analytic age. All the advanced analytics in almost every category Judge won, and won by a lot. What he didn't win were home runs and RBIs. So then it came down to how much more important is it that Cal Raleigh played catcher and put up these numbers? And I think that's a very fair argument. Once again, I think playing catcher is one of the hardest positions in sports here. All the squatting you got to do and all the hot weather. You're going to hit with foul balls, bats, runners. You got to control the pitching staff. It's an immensely important position here. So I think it was a valid argument to be made for Cal Raleigh. And I think the voters probably got it right. I think it should have been very close. It was 17-13. It wouldn't have bothered me if it was the other way around. I am a Yankee fan. I'm a Judge guy. Got my little Judge little figurine here. So I guess I'm happy he won. And like I said, but I really don't care one way or the other. Not going to add any extra wins to the Yankees next year. The Judge won MVP. So that's the way I sort of look at this. But I think, once again, if Raleigh won, it wouldn't have bothered me. Judge won. Good for him. He's a Yankee fan. But in the end, I think they got it right. But it's the advanced analytics. I think if this was 10, 15 years ago, before we started doing this, sort of like where pitching wins don't matter anymore, I think Raleigh would have won.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. All right, let's wrap up today's edition of the show with the SportsGrid 60.
All right, little news story yesterday in the NFL about the NFL players who grade teams. Right, they give out these grades on the weight room, food, how they're treated, this sort of thing, and it was fun in the offseason. We see all the grades for the teams, and now the NFL is filing a grievance against the NFLPA, saying this is against the CBA, to do this. I guess to make it public. how soft are you that this bothers you? I mean, really? Woody Johnson, he's the one who's really spearheading this because his team got an F or whatever it was. He's the one who's spearheading this grievance. Really? Of all the problems the New York Jets have, this is what you're choosing to concentrate on? You got a head coach who can't deal with the media, who looks like he's in way over his head here. You don't have a quarterback. You've got multiple problems all over the place with the team, but you're worried about what other players think of you. And you wonder why you're not getting better players to come there. So I just thought this was absolutely ridiculous that this happened. This is what they're worried about, getting graded by players.
Yeah, it does seem a little soft, but it seems like, as George said during one of the breaks, I think he nailed it, which is a couple of owners don't like something, and they go to the commissioner. Commissioner works for the owners, George. Got to make it happen, right? Got to take care of it. Okay, so the baseball season ended, as everyone knows, or if you didn't know, I'm very entrenched in baseball, do the pregame show for the Marlins, been an insider covering baseball for as long as you have been watching SportsGrid, and even 20 years longer than that. But I am very much willing to say that you can have one or two things. Either you can have all the free agents signing right now, or you can have nothing in this little trickle of content for the next 3 months. This is where we have an issue in baseball where we need some sort of reform to get this figured out, because in the NBA, no one even watches the regular season. They just care about who's signing in free agency. The clock hits 12, everybody signs. NFL, clock hits 12, everybody signs. NHL, maybe not to that degree, but pretty much free agency starts, the top guys sign. Why? Because there's a salary cap. And that's it. You can only sign a certain amount of guys, so players have to choose where they're going to go, and the teams only know that there's a certain amount that they can spend. Now, I don't know that this is going to necessarily be the answer for baseball, but it certainly couldn't hurt, because how can you have Kyle Tucker, the best, most available player in baseball, and he's not even the best in years, and unsigned? This is the equivalent. Find the best NBA free agent. That guy does not sign until October. It would never happen. Got to get this fixed. Free agency should be a couple of week period. Get everybody signed. I'm all for content in the winter, but wouldn't we have great content knowing where everybody is and figuring that out too? Thanks again to my co-host George, for my producer today, Tommy, for filling in for Sam. I'm Craig Mish. Good luck in fantasy football this weekend. We'll see you here next week.
The rest of the wide receiver group is underwhelming. Kincaid's had some moments. They need a playmaker in the worst way this offseason. I know they keep trying to get it done or pick these guys off. Maybe Keon Coleman will be that guy. Maybe Josh Palmer will be that guy. It's not working. They haven't replaced Stephon Diggs, and it shows. And I think Josh Allen could use some help. So Buffalo Bills in the offseason, free agency, NFL draft, get yourself a big playmaker.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Notre Dame playing very well, in a position to crack the top 12. Now they have to take care of business.
Here's what I want from and again, we're going to go over who we think is actually going to make the playoffs here a little bit later in the show. But understand this, Joe. I don't want any ACC in there. I don't want any Big 12 in there. Just give me the Big 10 and the SEC. And Mike, quite frankly, if you just gave me Ohio State, Indiana, and the rest of the SEC, boom, boom.
Nah.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Let me ask you this. If they brought in Belichick, you don't think that... Yeah.
Oh, of North Carolina?
Yeah, they're playing much better now.
I wouldn't let him coach my kids. I don't even have any.
I tell you what, they would be more disciplined than what they are now.
No, they wouldn't. They'd be lifeless.
Yes, they would.
They'd be lifeless.
Yes, Brian Dable is a gutless head coach.
Bill Belichick came off a bye against
gutless
Clemson.
head coach.
3 plays in, they gave him 150 yards.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Another sport like the NBA, which is dealing with its own, scandals, so to speak, and its own headlines with the FBI and what else comes, because this is the same FBI team that also brought the NBA scandals to light. So I'd have to imagine they're working on some other stuff as well right now, and the timing is definitely not a coincidence, but definitely some very significant news in the gambling world that now you're not going to be able to bet more than $200 on a specific pitch market.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.